Okay, back with another story. Um, Another classic story of a classic collaboration that happened for my second album, The Death Tape, which wasn't meant to be an album, it was meant to be like just a collection of unreleased shit, but it ended up being one of my biggest albums. It's the album that has Come Smoke With Me on it. It's got the Krayzie Bone feature, numerous other cult classics, whatever you want to call them, fan classics. But today I'm here to talk about the collaboration we did with Krayzie Bone. Now, Krayzie Bone came out a few times. See, we're going to go one step back. Lazy Bone came out first, right? He came out with Little Easy. We'll do a whole little episode on that. But Krayzie started to come out. And every time they did shows, we started to get put on as support. So we traveled to Newcastle with these guys, Sydney several times, me and Abed and whoever was rolling with me at the time. And, we got acquainted. Krayzie sort of keeps to himself a bit, you know what I mean? He's cool. He's a very intelligent guy. He knows what's going on, but he's not a loud guy. He's just, there was a time when we were in Carlingford at a studio for like 3 days just hanging out with them, and they were just working and going through beats and shit, and like we weren't pushing to do a track. Of course we wanted to, but like there was a lot going on at the time, a lot of outside influences. There was like certain bikey groups that were trying to hang around them and really just try and grab them and take them out the party, and like just disrupting the flow of the work and stuff, and they weren't rude at all. So we found ourselves in many sessions with these guys. Sometimes they got productive, sometimes they hung out. I got to see it all. I got to see the inside, like even the Bones, when I wouldn't say argue, but like they're a crew, so they're like sometimes they got issues and they'll address them, and like I got to see the inside scoop. And they're all pretty good guys, right? So at some point, it come down to talks of doing a song with myself, and I was just like, I was working with a label at the time, so the label was down to front. We worked out an agreement. They were down the front some of it. Head Up it was down the front some of it, and I was down the front some of it. It ended up being peanuts compared to what it was worth to me. Like, it wasn't a lot of money at all. So one day, finally, we got him in a studio. I've actually got him down to Blacktown, Electric Sun Studio at the time. I think it's Safe House Studios now. And I got all the footage from the day. Like, I was recording from start to finish. We got in there early, did our verses, made sure we knocked them out. Cray was always cool. I remember going upstairs to see him. I'd already had the Snoop track done, and I offered him, I said, look, I got this track with Snoop. If you want to jump on it, you could, but I didn't think that sort of suited. But I had this banger of a track that Definer made, Armed and Dangerous, which is a play off their song with Biggie, and it's a fucking banger, right? Getting in the studio with Krayzie Bone, mate, talking about being intimidated, like, not intimidated, yes, I guess intimidated, but like, you're going against a fucking lyrical machine gun. So this can't, so like, we were in the studio and I'm like, jotting shit, and there was like 3 sessions where it was supposed to happen and it didn't end up happening, which was good because it gave me time to sort of get my shit. And in the end, I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna lay it down how I lay it down, fucking do my style, and on the last couple of bars, I'll switch it up and do the Bone Tug style just to show that I could do it, because I thought it would be a bit stupid to fucking try and rap like Bone Thugs the whole time. But I just gave it a little touch, nothing compared to what they can do. So I'm gonna run you through some of these for this session, what we recorded, what he recorded, and what eventually became the film clip, and how I managed to make the film clip become reality. What I'd also like to chuck in there, the promoter at the time, which will remain nameless, he kept bringing out Bone Thugs. I think he struck a chord. He got lucky. Somehow made contact with them. They probably didn't know he wasn't that professional. he did 2 or 3 good shows, made a lot of money, went very well. Then he kept pushing it and pushing it. And one day he hit me up to try and get Cursor on to sell tickets, because the tickets were like he'd done 3 shows and people were getting like, you need to have a break in between it. They're legends, but like, it's hard to sell consecutive shows. So he asked me to get Cursor on him. I said yes, okay, but we want payment on the day. The guy tried to backdoor me. I actually fucking caught him running out the fucking back laneway, trying to jump in the cab with Bone Thugs, and grabbed him, persuaded him to come with me, and took him back to his hotel room, where he proceeded to call his father to get the money transferred for the amount that he had agreed on. And in the end, we got the money. But this was the sort of shit we were dealing with. This promoter was a shanky promoter. It's the same promoter I talk about in the Little Easy Fortnightly. And little side stories. So there was a lot of shows that we were doing with Bone. So yeah, finally it came full circle and we got to do this great track. To me, it's one of my favorite tracks. It's because it's one of the people I used to skip school, smoke weed, play PlayStation, listen to fucking Bone Thugs. I never in a million years thought I'd either meet Little Easy or go to Eazy-E's house or meet any of these Bone Thugs, or had conversations with them. Also went to America once and ended up in a studio session with Krayzie Bone. Very genuine guy, very humble guy. And yeah, this is the story about the track Armed and Dangerous. And just to end this up, like, there's probably a few stories I'm missing out here and there because we did so many tours and interactions and stuff. But there was this one time at the Metro Theatre, right? And they did a show. And just before they went to leave, Craig goes, "Hey, Forte, let me holler at you real quick." I thought he wanted some weed or something, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay. Him and Wishbone came in. And he looks me in my eyes and he goes, "Forte, I don't know if you know this, but you're like a pioneer of this shit. You're like the Too Short. You're like the E40. You're like the Rappin' Forte. You're like the Spice One." He goes, "You're the pioneer of this shit. Years from now, people will realize." And I swear to God, no one in Australia had said that. No one had labeled me the term OG, or this was years before that. And for him to we didn't get into great deep conversations, but him to pull me aside and say that to me, that put a battery in my back to keep going. And that meant a lot. And for him to recognize it before anyone in Australia did, that was like a big thing for me. So I like to end that episode on this note, and shout out Krayzie Bone, fucking living legend. Oh, and there was one more thing I forgot to leave out, and I like to apologize, Krayzie Bone, but we're all hustlers, so you know how it is sometimes. But usually when you get a track off an American artist, you pay for the feature and you pay a separate fee for the videographer. So there was this guy there called Joel Quinn, and he was sitting there. I'm like, "How much are you getting paid to film?" He's like, "Nothing." And I'm like, "You smoke weed?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, how about this? You're getting paid nothing, right? I'll give you this $50 of weed. Now, whenever Craig gets in the booth, I need you to record every single word he does. Every single word. Do not miss a word, because he's got such a fire flow. You know what I mean? Sometimes he's got to take breaks." So Joel Quinn sat there and recorded every single bit for $50, which then I took to make the film clip. So when you look at the film clip and it looks like Cray's not blinking, it's because he's looking at his laptop. And I hustled up a way to get the film clip for $50. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but we've got to do what we've got to do sometimes. But made history. Don't be mad at me.